more.
What's going on, Kev?
Just trying to get my phone more upright.
Mm. What are you propping it up on?
Paper towel roll and a peanut butter jar.
Gotcha. Very cool. Thanks for watching Eastern Volleyball Network. As you all were able to hear, this is the high quality engineering that goes into our videos. So if you like this type of high quality engineering, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe button for us over here at Eastern Volleyball Network. My name is Graham Wren. Kevin Knight, our usual co-host, is back with me at last, and we're here to bring you a recap video for TVA Big Money.
Appreciate the hot intro, dude. All right, yeah. I guess we're doing this.
Yeah, dude. I was you were sitting there talking about like, yeah, I'm gonna prop it up with this peanut butter. I'm gonna do all this, and I'm like, you know what? I think our fans would love to hear about the ingenuity that goes into these videos. So I figured I'd just do it.
All right, so we can get into a tournament this weekend. 16 teams. Let's go through the finishes. Give the people what they want. Give a general overview of the beauty that is Virginia Beach and 20-mile-per-hour winds.
Sure.
And break it all down.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming in first place, we had some dudes, TBD. Second place was Pat Cronshaw and Dave Arnold. Third place was Nick Drucker, Brett Rosenmeyer, Angel Dasha, Caleb Jennis. Fifth place, Cortland with a K. Cortland Schoenberg and Kyle Forensic. Follow Cortland with a K on Instagram. The other fifth place was Joey Gordon, Ben Ilfeld. Seventh place, Cam Rodriguez and Carson Barnes. The other seventh place was Spencer Gaston and Derek Sullivan. Ninth place, myself and Francis Becknell. Brad Peters and Chris Peters took a ninth. Shane Spellman, Devin Decker took a ninth. And then who would be the other ninth? No, they lost to Shane. Okay. Shoot, this is killing me. It must have been one of the. No, you know what it was? It was Carey and Gold took a ninth. Because their 13th place game was Dexter Powers and Pat Neary. Yep. Who took a 13th. And then everyone else not mentioned also took a 13th. Oh, and the first place was Andrew Knight and Andrew McMurray and Kevin Knight. I am terrible.
It continues from the prediction video. Cannot get that right.
Yeah.
I love it. No, it was good.
How'd it feel to get the dub? Be back in the winner's circle?
For me, it was, I guess, validation. I kind of had a tough couple tournaments where I felt like my side-out game was off, and that's always been what I not pride myself on, but probably one of my stronger points. Felt like I was kind of getting picked on and abused. My last two tournaments were with my guy Nolan Albright, and then the one after that was with Pat Cronshaw, New Orleans, and then Chapel Hill, respectively. And I really felt like I was kind of just thrown off my game, and I there was no rhyme or reason for it. And then this one I got to run with my training partner, Andrew. We go back and forth, and we're normally battling against each other in training, but we spent a lot of years on the court together. And I told everybody that was willing to listen, I was like, look, either we're going to get on the court and it's going to be all bad because it's been like that in the past, or the tournaments that things seem to click, we seem to win. And this was no exception. We got on the court from point one. I felt like I was in the system. I felt really confident running with them, and ended up pulling it down this weekend.
Yeah, no, it's good to see Cobra Kai getting a win for once,
Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the leg. You could say that it's maybe Dylan Cox's like the good twin. That could work.
Yeah, that'll work.
The good side of him. I think I've heard the white knight this year quite a bit because I wear a white long sleeve trying to avoid skin cancer.
What's with the all white between the long sleeve white and then the white leggings? I feel like with beach volleyball, it's a questionable choice.
Questionable choice, definitely on the leggings. Those are starting to get pretty dirty, and I'm not savvy enough at Googling to figure out how to turn them white again. I don't know this year.
Bleach.
I think that's pretty corrosive to polystyrene. Anyway, probably should get going on this.
No, it's not about polystyrene. I think that's what the viewers want to hear about.
We get a lot of crap for that one. No, I think that this year, previously I've always worn essentially hand-me-down board shorts, as you mentioned many of times.
Yeah.
No real sense of putting myself together before tournaments at all. And this year I wanted to kind of have a theme, and I got white and blue sunglasses from Oakley. First time I've ever like customized a pair or whatever. Not gotten them on sale. And as a result, I went out and got like 3 or 4 pairs of blue shorts to wear that I like, and then I went with white leggings. And the white Under Armour was literally just, I was like, well, I'm going with blue or white on the Under Armour, and I found the white first.
Gotcha. There you go. Gotham's White Knight. So now we will now we'll go. We'll actually start talking about the tournament. So your first match of the day, you had the landmine of landmine draws. Haven't seen a landmine team of this caliber in a while. Shane Spellman, Devin Decker.
A landmine implies that it would be hidden and it would then explode when you step on it. But unfortunately, this landmine had been exposed earlier, much to the chagrin of the one and only Shane Spellman. So Graham, I wanted to thank you for doing the Lord's work there, because I think we would have had a sleeping Andrew McMurray in that first match had you not revealed them. And I wanted you to know that Shane sends his regards for future tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't Shane trying to pull some backwards trickery even, the morning of the tournament regarding that matchup?
Yeah, I think he told me that he actually offered to pay double the entry fee if he had a chance to play against you, and in a later round was the request. If you could just do some bracket magic tricks to make sure that he matched up with you later on in the tournament, because he was pretty dead set on showing you what he thought of the prediction video.
Yeah.
Which is the goal, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's the goal of our videos, and I think Shane did just that with a solid 9th place finish. So good on him.
So yeah, they came out super strong. We took them in game 1, I think, on a jump serve ace, like 21-18. And then game 2, they were way more steady. And late in game 2, we bled 1 point late at 18-18, and then Devin hit a massive jumper. He's a 6'8" guy with a really live arm. He had a huge jump serve ace to win it 21-19. Game 3 was a huge back and forth, and really the big tipping point of that one was we at 6-6. I told Andrew that I don't think Shane had hit a line shot because of the way the wind was coming very much at all. He was always hitting these cutties or hard angle swings. So I was like, let's run a true three block where we fake angle and then go back to the line, and Andrew fakes to the line, goes back angle, and Andrew scooped up his cutty and turned around and scored it. And then we were on the bad side at this point. So the bad side is where the wind is coming from behind you. And they call a timeout. And then in that timeout, so I had schemed the play to draw out the cut shot. And in that timeout, Andrew was like, hey, the kid hasn't had a chance to swing. This guy really looks like he wants to bang a ball. So let's double up on his angle where you start in the line and block his angle and see if we'll hit it right into you. And literally, like, point for point, that exact thing happened. And from the bad side, we got up. And then once we had switched sides from there, we just were able to run up, 2-3 points when the wind is blowing in our face at 15-20 miles per hour. We both have really good jumpers. And that actually ended up sealing the match for us, I think. It's like, well, at 14-11, the young referees actually made a very, very controversial call. Hadn't called a hands call all game long. And then I believe it may have been, I don't know if it was on, it was on Devin.
It was on Devin.
They called a double on match point, which is very much out of form for, I think, most beach volleyball players. You let it play unless it's like a egregious double, which this was a bobble, was not egregious. But anyway, we barely squeaked through match 1 in 3 sets. Very, very tough team. Was expecting them to go really deep in the tournament, and then, as Graham has revealed, they unfortunately got bounced out in the second round of the losers bracket.
Yeah, they played Cam Rodriguez and Carson Barnes, and Carson's young.
16, 17.
I think he's like 17, but he's a lanky 6'4", has a pretty live arm. And I think Carson had the game of his life, and they ended up taking out Shane and Devin, who yeah, I mean, they were playing pretty good ball all day, but Carson just had the game of his life and managed to take him out. And then Cam and Carson unfortunately turned around and laid an egg in the next match and lost to a double cramping team of Joey and Ben Ilfeld, who I think shotgunned at least 4 beers mid match.
No, Joey alone shotgunned 4 beers mid match.
I'm saying each of them shotgunned 4 beers.
Okay, I was gonna say Ben took down at least 2 or 3. I know Joey individually had 4, which is ridiculous. Yeah. But actually, that brings up a good point. We'd like to welcome back 2 volleyball players that were pretty steady on the scene in earlier years that we haven't seen much recently. Ben Illefeld is a really solid 6'4", 6'5" defender in my area that unfortunately had a series of really tough back injuries that sidelined him for a couple of years, and he made his return with Joey Gordon triumphantly and loudly this year. He was a nightmare to play against because every single point he had something to tell you about it.
Yeah,
and also Joey Gordon riding on that as well.
Well, yeah, and to be clear about how this goes, like they would score a point, and then Joey Gordon is loud as hell in your face, and you're just like, God, how can this get any worse? And then Ben has some little quip that's just like cutting into the core of your being after every single point. And it was a pretty brutal combination.
Yeah, and then Shane Spellman from your area, right? He'd been out for a little while and really, really appreciated in the prediction video talking about how he was out of shape.
Used to be out of shape. He's no longer out of shape. He's looking very fit.
Right. And so we're happy that he's back and playing again because he's very good. Both of them are very good players. One evidenced by a 5th place finish at a solid tournament with Ben in his first event back. And the other one evidenced by his glorious hands that he displayed all throughout the tournament while Shane Spellman setting free balls and roll shots on defense, which shows you the confidence in his hands. Not evidenced by the 9th place finish that they took, though.
Yeah, he had a couple great comments middle of the final too, just kind of making sure that we knew how great his hands were. Where the first one was Andrew, this may have been the semifinal, but he like dug an over line with his hands up here. And he just and Andrew took it pretty cleanly, and ended up converting the point. Everyone was like, "Wow, that was nuts!" And Shane was like, "Wow, that was a great overhand dig." Then he pauses, and he was like, "I would have set my partner."
Love the guy. I can't wait to see what he does later on this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any? So to kind of play off that, so obviously one of the big factors of the day was the heat. You already mentioned one of the teams cramping, and you had some troubles with that yourself. Do you think that played into any of the way the tournament played out, or do you think it was more of the wind factor that decided the day?
I think it's both, to be honest. Like I think if it's hot and it's not windy, you at the end of the day, the wind is making teams have to work that much harder to side out.
Yeah.
Versus. So like in that situation, like if it was hot and not windy, teams could side out relatively easily. And then on defense, you can kind of pick your moments versus in the wind. It's kind of like you really had to, work hard for every point inside out. Really.
I think it definitely favored split blocking teams. If you could get away with having both guys block and both guys defend fairly effectively, it definitely allowed you to save your legs for later on in the bigger matches. Andrew and I split blocked. I think Pat and Dave actually didn't really do that. They only did the first round, and then 4 matches in a row Pat blocked. But Nick and Brett obviously split block every tournament. I don't know. So that was one thing I noticed that teams that had one guy running up, I think, were punished a little bit because of the heat. Pat actually mentioned in the finals that had something to do with him sending Dave up to block a couple times. Couple points in the finals, he was just completely gassed. And then one thing I think we should at least mention, this was a question from Josh Lanier to me on the way home. He was asking me how the tournament went. And he's like, a lot of people probably don't even, the people that play in it all the time don't need to hear this, but like he was like, what is it, what changes about your game when there's like really heavy wind, not like a little breeze, but like the wind is really blowing, which it was in this tournament. Say, what do you change? And I was like, well, I mean, we could give like just a brief, 1-2 points about what we changed. For me, the really big deal was that the pass had to stay hopefully right at or just barely above the height of the pin, if possible. Like if you can control the serve that well, to have your pass not blowing around up in the air. And then we tried to run every single set, especially when I was setting Andrew, essentially at a 1 to 1.5 tempo. I mean, he was passing and then just immediately running for his approach. And then I would kind of set him on the move to keep the ball, again, from blowing too much. And then I was running, you guys knew this from watching, but like I was running a tempo ball to the pin, like a shoot set, for example. And then I was also running a back set. It was a little slower than what he was running, but it was still a very like in tempo sort of deal to keep it more manageable. And then if you wanted to talk about, give your points on, and then serve receive, when you're on the side where the wind is blowing from behind you, we realized that we had to stand almost on the back line to make sure we kept all the serves in front of us, because we kept getting aced by guys on the back line. Like Dave Arnold was really good at hitting a high serve that drops on the back line.
You mean when you're on the bad side or when you're on the good side?
When we're receiving on the bad side, so the wind is from behind us, we were standing on the back line because we kept getting aced on the back line by that serve dropping on, the dropping last minute.
Yeah.
And so that was a big deal for us.
It's funny. Me personally, like kind of something I've adjusted and changed recently, because we've been training and had a lot of wind ball, and like, credit to Pat for probably having the best jump float in the area, I would say, as someone who prides himself on his jump float. And it was like the hard jump float into the wind that is hitting on the back line, if you get beat high, is almost impossible to deal with.
Yeah.
But regardless of whether the ball has top spin or whether it's a float that's short, like almost like instinct, and because the ball is in front of you, takes over, and you can always give yourself a chance. So managing the bad side a lot of times is like how being as shallow as you can without giving up that ball, in my mind, especially on the floats, and like just kind of being ready that like if you see even like a hint of topspin on the ball, knowing that it's going to dive, and otherwise knowing that like the ball is going to kind of stay and dance.
So what's one point that you do defensively? So when you're like between the two sides, so if you got a front to back wind, what do you change about your defense when you're in the wind?
When I'm on the good side, especially like when we're on the good side and they're on the bad side, especially if it's a guy that likes to shoot more, and a guy that maybe isn't going up and just thumping balls pretty straight down. I actually like to run a lot of angle blocks and kind of tempt him, especially if you have a larger blocker at the net, and kind of tempt him to hit that line ball. Because what me personally, like when I'm on the bad side, I would love for my partner to kind of set the ball at like maybe 5 to 6 feet off, and then let it drift tight into the window. So then like knowing that a cut shot more often than not is not going to be effective because the wind's going to push it back, and that like right, and that my high line has to take a good amount of like finesse. You almost have to hit like a short line and let the wind kind of carry it. That more often than not, I want to thump angle, because it's that much easier of a swing to make versus kind of tempting someone point in, point out, undersized to hit a ball down the line. And like it's not an easy thing to do. And kind of their tendency, and I think a lot of people's tendency anyway when they see an angle block, is to want to try to like chop over the angle because they think it's an easy point. So then it's like, then they become a little more predictable as well.
Yeah, for me, it's blocking wise is predominantly a blocker. You're looking, again, this is the wind. It's either blowing the ball onto the net or blowing the ball off.
Right.
For a little guy, the thing I change is when the ball is blowing onto the net, I'm not trying to take away any specific area of the court. I'm just trying to push as far over as I possibly can and grab the ball, because more often than not, a big guy will miss the set for his little guy tight when the wind's blowing it on, and I'm just trying to clamp that ball. And it's shocking to me how often, like, instead of calling a 1 or a 2 where I'm trying to like dive in one way or the other, if I literally just see the ball and see it drifting towards me, I'm just grabbing it. And then when the ball is blowing off the net, if the little guy is getting set, I'm definitely looking much more to pull because that ball is blowing behind his head and he's got to hit it up and over. Versus if the ball is blowing off the net on a big guy, I try not to pull because he just stops his approach, goes up and bangs. I got in trouble pulling a couple times on Shane Spellman, who wants to hit a lot. It's like 6'3", and he just blew us up with it. And I was like, okay, because he's hitting it into the wind, so he can hit it with extra power if I'm pulling. So on the bigger guys, even when the wind is blowing the ball off the net, that is actually when I'll take a lot of bigger risks blocking. So that's where I will try to take away like I'm running a 4. I'm going to try to move even more so than I would in a normal situation, even if it gives away the call, because it's going to be a more extreme angle that they're hitting the ball at. So that's how I change it. I just thought it would be good for the guys that don't play in a ton of wind to hear about how kind of we strategize when we play in it. But
yeah, and kind of,
do you want to go through? I was going to say, do you want to go through the semis and finals, or do you want to go through any teams that like you thought underperformed or overperformed?
we'll do semis and finals first, and then we'll hit that.
You want to start with the Dave versus Angel semi, because I didn't actually see that.
Sure. So this was the culmination of Dave Arnold's true power, which is he is the wind wizard, and it's
the airbender of sorts.
Airbender, and it's not just that he knows how to manipulate balls in the wind, and I feel like he's better than most at getting his feet to the ball in the wind, finding a useful shot, etc. But like his understanding of what the other side is going to do when they get put in situations allows him to make ridiculous plays.
Be places that he shouldn't be.
Right. Or when it's a little bit more of a still day and everyone is consistently going in and being a little more ambiguous with their attack, like Dave's still a good defender and he's still going to get his touches. But in the wind, when people do become a little bit more predictable because they're focusing that much more on feet to ball and that much less on vision, he just finds a way to be in the right spot and just make some pretty ridiculous digs.
Yeah, I heard maybe not necessarily getting a ton of blocks, but the presence of Pat Cronshaw's like giant 6'7" and jumping block gave Caleb a lot of trouble in terms of making errors, because like Dave's a great defender, but Pat is also taking away a big swath of the court. And Caleb is, at least for me, I've noticed he's definitely one that really hits away from the block. He's not like the classic indoor guy that will go up and like chisel high hands, chisel elbows. Like Angel has no problem going after a blocker. Caleb tends to hit away from the block, and then by hitting away from Pat, you're essentially hitting into Dave, right, or erring. And I heard that was kind of a matchup nightmare for them, having the combo of a really big blocker and then a really, really talented defender. But yeah, I mean, I remember listening to the crowd, and every time the crowd kind of erupted, I looked over and it was Dave like hand digging a hard driven ball, like 12-foot line, like blast from Caleb, and he's just like there, and you're like, how did he do that? And then he made it playable, and he sided out on the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that about Caleb, because that was kind of drawing back to the last time I saw Caleb play, and Caleb's a phenomenal player. But that was exactly what happened. Yeah, that was exactly what happened when he played Adam Roberts and Ian Satterfield at the Fieldhouse.
Just trying to hit away from the block too much, and then the ball would kind of scud out of bounds, or it's like, obviously Satterfield's a good blocker. He's on the AVP, but like even the best blockers get tooled all the time. So you probably should take some more chances going after the block, because you'd be surprised how often that it goes through. Although in my semi, I found that didn't work quite as well at the beginning.
Yeah. So in the other semi, we had Kevin Knight, Andrew McMurray against the reigning TVA champs, Nick Drucker and Brett Rosenmeyer. And set one, I think Kevin got blocked 6 times and ace 6 times for a 21-9 defeat in set one.
21-8, sir.
21-8.
Yep. Might have been the worst individual game beatdown that I've taken. May have been the worst I've taken, or tied for the worst I've taken ever on the beach court. 21-8 is like, and it was me every ball. Like it was, I mean, Andrew might have gotten aced once by Nick or something, but
yeah, I got just when it was, I was laughing pretty hard at this, because it was like just when you had gotten like ace down your line, aced in the seam, ace down your line, like 3 points in a row. Andrew then like shades over to start to try to help out in the middle, and Drucker just Andrew's line. I was like, yeah, nope, get back over there.
A testament to the ultimate control Nick has over his shoulder, and just incredible jump serving from the bad side,
From the, yeah,
or from the good side. Sorry. I think I remember someone saying that like Nick and Brett not only are undefeated in TVA, but they're undefeated in total matches to play together.
no, they lost to Angel and Vaughn.
Oh, right. Okay, earlier, and then they came back through and beat them.
Right.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, they've played unbelievably well this year together, and 21-8 was a good testament of that.
Yeah.
So in between the games, I was over talking to Andrew and Raquel, his girlfriend, and I saw her drinking a Truly, I think it was, and I was like, "Hey, is there any more of those?" And she's like, "Why, are you cramping?" I was like, "No, not at all. I think I'm just way too tight. I'm way too uptight right now." So I crack one of these things open, start drinking it, like loosen up a little bit, take myself less seriously, take the fact that the whole crowd had been screaming at me all game long when I got blocked 6 times in a row. Like just mellow out a little bit. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna come back. We're good players. We trust our training, and sure enough, it worked. I cracked open a Truly and was just sipping on it all game long. And game two, the only adjustment we made is I was like, Andrew, we've worked on a variety of offensive sets every single day. We're playing together in Raleigh. We're running shoot sets. We're running one balls. We're running back shoots. We're running like outside balls that like fake outside and come back inside and hit. And I was like, let's try it. Like we just got beat 21-8. Like obviously we're gonna have to pass. So it's not not something that didn't need to be said. But like let's actually try running a variety of offensive balls and see if that helps out my side out game, especially when we're on the good side. And the entire match flipped 180 degrees. I mean, it was definitely a battle in set two, but we grinded with them. And then I think I had at least one or two aces on the good side late in set two that really kind of put the cap on it. Like I think it might have been an 18-17 up switch, and then like an ace to go up 19-17, and then like a really good serve and a dig to go up like 20-17 or something. So we put the cap on set two, and then everybody was kind of like, I think everybody everybody in the crowd, one was a lot quieter, but I think they're all looking at each other like, so this guy got blocked 6 times in set one and then comes out in set two, doesn't get blocked or only got blocked once and didn't get aced much at all. Are these the same teams playing against each other? Yeah. That's just how volleyball goes, I guess.
Yeah, a couple comments to add. One, you take yourself too seriously, to quote Ben Ilfeld on Shooketh. Two, I think the entire crowd was cracking up so you started going off in set two, and I think you were siding out every ball, scored a couple reels, maybe an ace, maybe a block, one, like you come in and get another ace, and you're like right in front of Andrew, and you just let out the signature Kevin Knight scream, right? And Andrew was just like,
I realized that.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, and then we all started talking about how how polar opposite it was.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
And then so during the interim, between sets 2 and 3, out of the blue, out of nowhere, I think from up on the Virginia Beach boardwalk, some young woman just came running across the court. Like Andrew and I are talking strategy, and this person we've never seen before comes running off the boardwalk, walks up to Andrew and I, and is like explaining just launched into this whole short story. And she, at the end of it, is like, my friend thinks you're really cute. Can I have your number? And I was like, I'm sorry, now's not the right time. I need to focus on the next set. Like, I appreciate you, but we gotta play. I was like, this is the most Virginia Beach thing ever. And he sprints across the semifinal court where everybody's watching and asked me for my number for her friend. Anyway, set 3 was awesome. The turning point in set 3 happened almost identically.
Clearly, it was the self-esteem boost from having someone run across the court to ask for your number.
I couldn't believe the audacity, like in the middle of a tournament, in the middle of a semifinal, just running across the court. Yeah. Loved it though. Power move. The flip side, the flip point for us in set in set 3 was we were down 6-4, going to the bad side. We sided out on I think a missed serve at 5-6, and I looked at Andrew and I was at a complete loss. I was like, dude, we're not getting points off either one of them. Like, what do we do here? And he like smiles and he goes, do what you always do in pickup, bro. Just serve it down the middle and see which one takes it. And whichever one doesn't take it is the more tentative of the two. We'll go after him. And I was like, that's genius. So we served it down the middle and Brett shied away. And then Nick like stepped in and took it. And it was not a great pass. And he got set off the net. And I think he missed out long by maybe a foot. Like, it was a good swing, but like just barely missed. And I looked back at Andrew. I was like, that's incredible. So the next ball we served Brett outside his line, ran a 4 and got a block on him, like a huge block. And I was like, that changed the entire match. Like that one call by him where he's like, just serve it down the middle. It's obviously going to work. I was like, that worked out well. Yeah. So it'd go exactly how it did in his head. And then he just went on a monster run at 8-7. I think Andrew served 5 consecutive balls and they only set it out on the last one. And it was like just a sick dig from him that he turned around and scored. One of them was a roll shot that then Shane Spellman came up and hand set the roll shot. And I was like, I've never seen you do that in a tournament. And you're doing it in set 3 of the biggest match we played. Yeah. So just ultimate confidence from him.
Dripping and oozing swag.
Swag is Dave. And Dave Arnold said, this man oozes swag. And then I just wanted to give him a shout out as well. As like, he's kind of always been known as a guy that's like pretty low key. He did as good a job as I've ever seen of hyping me up. But then the other thing was that we got beat 21-8 in set 1. And he could have literally just shut down and quit and nobody would have blamed him because like his partner wasn't getting the job done.
I was waiting for Drew to come out. I was waiting for
right. Like Ben, the guy that's just like all over his partner, like, what are you doing? What are we doing here? Like, this is our biggest match. What's going on? Never once. He was just like, hey, dude, these things happen. Like, what do we got to change? And I was like, I just got to start trusting the shoot sets that we normally run and trusting the back balls that we practiced. And that opened up my entire game. But it was credit to him for not like going full on like freak out on me after getting absolutely trounced in our semi.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
very cool.
That was a lot of fun.
Something else I want to talk about before moving on to kind of overperforming teams and stuff to talk about. I think big thing for Dave Arnold, not only getting the win power up, but he got an extra dad power up today. And like the most dad move I've ever seen. He has one kid like wrapped around his torso and then another kid on top of his shoulders. And he was like, he's played like 3 matches now at this point, and he is hauling ass to the water to like carrying them to the water. It's amazing. It's like the most Dave Arnold dad thing I've ever seen. So,
one of the most incredible human beings I've ever come across.
Yeah, so shout outs to that guy. Not overperforming, but who had a strong day. Cortland and Kyle played real strong ball. I had my doubts about them for sure, and we played them. I mean, I train and have been playing against them for years, so I know what they can do. But they're both definitely left side players, and it was kind of interesting to see how Cortland would handle being on the right. So in our match, we actually started going at Cortland before doing anything, and we had some success. I think he came out a little tentative, and we had a lot of success running like angle blocks and me just kind of reading where he was going to shoot, and then he stopped being tentative and like swung a ball down the line. I think just like untouchable straight down cut shot down the line, then kind of went like side high hands on Francis down the line, and all when he was like supposed to be blocking line, and Francis was in a good spot. He had a couple like came in super hard, showing that he's gonna bump this ball angle, and then just kind of like short over line, and did that a couple times.
Did he let you know about it?
What was that?
Did he let you know about it?
Oh, yeah. And yeah, as only Cortland can.
With a K.
With a K. But then, so like we saw that and we were like, okay, well, it's time to go after Kyle. And frankly, we were generating plenty of opportunities off of Kyle, I felt like, but we weren't able to execute inside out. weren't really able to take advantage of being on the good side and weren't able to manage the bad side. But like we were getting a lot of productive touches and blocks. All the credit in the world to Francis, because like even when we were on the bad side, and like Kyle definitely kind of likes to come into the middle a little bit to open up like both of his short chops as well as whatever else he's going to shoot, and then also he's going to bang the ball deep angle. And Francis was taking away, big chunks of the middle of the court, and like a couple times when Kyle tried to go back to the line, either with like a 70% chop or even like a dink, and Francis was there to throw it back down. So we were getting good looks, but just couldn't side out, unfortunately.
And they ended up kind of barnstorming to a fifth. I think they lost to Dave and Pat in a pretty decent little match that they had. Pat definitely said that one tired him out. They went after him short deep a lot. Yeah. And then they lost to Pat and Dave, and then they came all the way back through, and I think ended up losing to Angel Dace and Caleb Jennis, who most people thought, I think, would either win or be in that final.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Do you call that underperforming? The fact that Angel doesn't make a final? Is that an underperforming day? Or, I mean, I don't know. How do you call it when you think a team's going to win and then they get a third?
Yeah, I mean, they did get beat by two teams there, so
I guess so.
Yeah, you could call it underperforming. Who was the other? Joey Gordon, Ben Ilfeld, really strong. Take another fifth, and frankly, I was pretty blown away by the fact that Cam and Carson weren't able to beat them because they were both cramping for the entirety of that match. And
I don't know if Ben was cramping, dude.
Ben was cramping. I was sitting there reffing the match, watching, and then Ben was like, "How the hell are they not serving me? Because I am not serving." Like Joey was like twinge cramping, but at 6'6" and just running on pure alcohol, Joey was still able to get up and bang balls. But like Ben was not in a position at all to really bang any balls, but they just kept stubbornly serving Joey. And it was like,
you know what that is? Bad coaching.
Stop.
I'm just saying. Yeah. If you're a coach and you go after one guy and you keep going after him despite the other guy being visibly hobbled, I'd say that's just bad coaching.
Yeah,
we all know who was coaching that match.
Yeah, Cam Rodriguez. I was cracking up because there was a play where Ben was like 10 feet off the sideline, and they tried to one ball him back over, and Ben is hobble running back onto the court, like very obviously
dragging one leg. He had a stanky leg.
Exactly. And he's like going backwards at an angle towards the back corner, and like kind of like lunges without diving to play it. And like most of us after making that dig would like come to a stop and immediately like turn and kind of start their approach from there. Ben, knowing that he's cramping and that's just not in the arsenal right now, just takes like this giant circular pattern, like in like a fucking airplane, and just comes around to like go in and hit the ball and chopped it for a kill. It was the most incredible thing I've seen.
I love it.
Yeah, he's making the turn, and I was over there. I was like, "Meow."
I love it. Yeah, no, they definitely, I think, outkicked where everybody would have them, and then obviously we've talked at length about Shane and Devin. We thought that they'd go pretty far, and the other team had a career match against them, and they got knocked out by some really good serving by Carson, who I think individually had a very good day. Aside from, I mean, I think a lot of people after they beat the 6'8" Devin Decker and the 6'3" Shane Spellman, a lot of people thought that they would beat the cramping 6'6" and 6'4" guys, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But individually, he looked really impressive at times. I would say that nobody probably had Andrew and I winning that tournament. So I'd say we probably outperformed where people, I mean, I had me winning that tournament, but.
Well, we don't know that because you weren't on the video.
Ooh, that's a good point. But I think that's assumed at this point because I'm pretty consistent with me calling that I'm going to win the tournament beforehand.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Sorry. See you at the next one.
So, I was going to say, I guess I'll need to be in the next one.
Yeah, kind of underperforming as well, even though we didn't predict them here. And I was kind of trying to edge, like in our prediction video, Kyle was getting ready to pick me and Francis over Spencer and Derek. And I was sitting there kind of like, I think Francis and I are capable of beating Spencer and Derek, but Spencer's been playing some really, really good ball. And, Derek is a very skilled individual as well. And in my mind, they were a borderline automatic 5th place, potentially with a strong performance into the semi, and they took a 7th. So and they looked strong all day, but then somehow didn't pull it out against Kyle and Cortland. I didn't really get to see the match.
I think the wind really got to Derek when we actually played them in the second round of the day. And if you could keep the ball, somebody had figured out that you could keep the ball like on Derek short. He very much struggled to side out. Spencer was rock solid all day long. I mean, it was another kind of very, very, very solid performance out of him. And to his credit, he was a great teammate as well. I mean, Derek actually, we went to sushi afterwards. Oh, yummy. For all you can eat, of course. And Derek had all the best things to say about Spencer. He was like, dude, the guy like was teaching me how to play wind ball, like while we were in matches, telling me like what to take and how to position myself. And so it was just his first experience in really heavy wind. And so that's kind of the turbulences to be expected.
Nice.
See what I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there any other team that you want to, I mean, my other question is like, is Brett and Rosie taking a third underperforming technically, even though they only lost one match? Or
no,
like, how do you rate them?
No, I mean, I think they had a really strong day. Yeah, they had a really strong day, and frankly, it's like you can only be perfect for so long.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, like you say that more the Volley Vikings are crashing when they take a third instead of a first at a tournament. No, it's like, okay, sure. You've won the past 4 or 5, and then you took a third here, like business as usual.
Yeah, and they definitely blocked me like Anders Mole blocks people. Is there anybody else that you want to talk about, or do you want to wrap up?
I mean, we were spot on about Dexter Powers and Patrick Neary.
The automatic double forfeit.
Yeah, the automatic double forfeit. Hate to see it. But
appreciate TVA putting on the event, and appreciate Dexter Powers signing up, making a 16-team event. Always got to love it.
Yeah.
The Virginia Beach crowd, as always, as advertised, was incredible. Young Luddy even showed up and got on the mic for a little while. Dave Jones came out to yell at people from the sidelines drinking a Guinness. People got rowdy and people got kind of weird. Joey was talking about doing it for the farmers all day long. No idea what that meant, but I appreciate it anyway.
So on the cans of Busch Light that have like corn content in them, on there it says for the farmers.
Of course it does. Just a really cool atmosphere to play in, and honestly, it made the day that was 95 degrees and humid much more bearable. So can't say enough about how fun it is to play there, and I will definitely be back potentially next weekend.
Really? All right. I'll see you there.
Well, if you like what we do, get us to 1,000 subscribers. We're pretty darn close.
Yeah. And actually, in the name of Father's Day, if you would like your father to be able to watch your matches whenever he so desires, talk to your parents, get them to subscribe to our channel. That would really help us out, and then they will know where they can find all of your volleyball content. So
just to make sure we don't infringe on any copyright laws, that was an original Mama Wren idea and should be attributed to her as such.
Yes. Thank you, Susie. All right. And on that note, we're going to sign off.